Alright guys, this is our last lesson of e-learning, yay! And this should be a pretty quick and easy one, but this is something that I've seen pop up on the ACT before, so I did want to make sure that we covered it. So what we're looking at is the equation of a circle. This formula up here is what's called the standard equation of a circle. You'll see that in some of your directions today. So that's what the equation of a circle looks like. What I need you to understand is what the equation tells you. So in order to get a graph of a circle, you need two important things. You need to know where to put the center, and you need to know the radius. So this equation gives you those two things with very little math. To find the center, it's always going to be h comma k. It's the x number comma the y number. But what you have to be careful about here is you have to actually think opposite. Anytime we're inside of the parentheses with those minus signs there, you want to think opposite of what sign you see to get the correct value. And then to find the radius is going to be r, but what you have to be careful about is in the equation it's actually r squared, so you're always going to have to take the square root of the r squared part of the equation. So looking at the first example, should be pretty straightforward. They want to know where the center is, so we're going to look at this is h, this is k, but we're going to do opposite signs. That's really positive 5 and then negative 2. It has to be negative 2 to make the minus a minus change to plus. So you have to always think opposite there. And then to find the radius, we're looking at this r squared value. We're going to take the square root of 36. The radius is going to be 6. Okay? And number 2, the h number would always be with x, but the weird thing here is there's no h number, and then this is your k number. So since there's no h number, that's going to be 0, and the k number is going to be positive 1 since we're thinking opposite. And then to find the radius, I'm looking at that r squared value. I'm going to take the square root of it. Square root of 4 is 2. So pretty straightforward. We're going to look at it in a different form now. What if we went the other direction? What if they told us the center and the radius and they wanted us to create the equation? So to do that, we're using the formula x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, and you've just got to plug everything in the right spot. This is, again, h and k. So that's going to be x minus 7 squared plus y minus negative 3 squared equal to 11 squared. And all I want to see you do is simplify this down. X minus 7 squared is just going to stay in parentheses. We're leaving it in that parentheses form. That's what the standard form looks like. And then it's going to be y minus the negative changes to plus 3. And then 11 squared is 121, as I do want to see you simplify that number at the end. So that would be your answer there. Alright, then in number 4, same thing, we're going to plug in. It's going to be x minus negative 6 squared. So if you want to change that to plus or positive right away, you can. Oops. And then plus y minus 0 squared equal to the r value this time is 13, the radius, but we've got to square it. So this is going to stay x plus 6 squared. With the ones with 0, you can leave it if you really want to. When you look at these in future problems, they're just going to drop it out. So we're just going to do y squared, but if you left the 0, I wouldn't mark it wrong. And then for the part with the radical and the squared, remember, will cancel each other out. And we're just going to get 13 there. So that would be your answer for that equation. Alright, number 5 is a little bit different. They're giving you the graph and they want you to come up with the equation. So what I would suggest that you do first is you locate the two important parts to be able to create the equation. Is you need to know the center. So to find the center, we need to do over, comma, up and down. That's how we do a coordinate. So this is over 3. Make sure you're doing that part first. And then it goes down negative 4. So there's my center. The other thing we need to know is the radius. So I would suggest that you draw that in the picture. You can draw it any direction, really. I tend to draw it to the right. But then you just have to count how many hops to get out there. The radius is going to be 2. So then the equation, we're just going to plug it in just like we did in 3 and 4. It's x minus 3 squared plus y minus negative 4 squared, changes to plus positive, equal to 2 squared, which is really going to be 4. So that should be your equation. All Alright, then we're going to do a similar thing for number 6, but there is something I have to show you here that you have to be a little bit careful about. If you notice where the center is, it's over 0, so that's the first thing, it's over 0 down -4, but that's really only 2 tick marks from the origin, so what you need to realize here is they're counting by 2s. So it's important that you pay attention to what they're counting by. In the last one, every tick mark was 1, so we were fine. But now in this one, they're counting by 2s, which is super important when you go to find the radius here, is I need to make sure I'm counting by 2s to find the radius. This is going to be 2, 4. The radius is really 6. So just make sure you're paying attention to what scale they've put on this. So we get the radius is 6. And then we can go ahead and write our equation. It's going to be x minus 0 squared plus y minus -4 squared equal to 6 squared. That changes to plus a positive, and then we have x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 36. That's our final equation. Okay. Last type of problem is they are going to give you the equation and they want you to create the graph. So we're going literally in the reverse of what we just did. So first thing I would do is actually write out, it asks you in the directions, find the center, find the radius. So the center is going to be -4 comma +2. Remember, you got to do the opposite. And then the radius is going to be 5 because I'm taking the square root of 25. And then you're just going to use those two things to graph. You always graph the center first. So when you're graphing, first step is to plot the center. So we're going to go over -4 up to, make sure you're doing that in the correct direction, over first, up or down second. And then step 2 for graphing is going to be to use the radius to move. We're going to move 4 different directions. We're going to go up, down, left, and right from the center. So the radius is 5, so I'm going to go this way 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, made that too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to do that. And then when you're doing this on your homework with Notability, if you draw the circle and hold down, it'll draw a really nice circle for you. I can't do that on here, so I'm just going to draw the circle to the best of my ability. It's not going to be perfect, but it would look something like that. So that is what you need to do to be able to graph them. And then you have a class kick to try, and there's one for you to try on there with graphing, so I can see that you understand how to do that. And then there is a short homework assignment, and we have an in-class assignment tomorrow. So I do need you to be aware that you need to be prepared for that. That's going to cover most of what we did in Chapter 12. Anything that's not on the in-class assignment could pop up on the final exam. So that's just a heads up. Everything that we did do in Chapter 12 is pretty important. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day.